In 2008, while millions of people in America were losing their jobs, homes, and savings, some people were building the greatest fortunes of their lives during that same crisis. How was that possible? Same environment, same economy, same crisis, but completely opposite outcomes. Some called it luck. Others said it was simply making the right decisions at the right time. But it was neither luck nor perfect timing. It was the system itself. And that system is still operating today. It affects you right now, and it will affect you again when the next crisis arrives. What matters is becoming one of the people who understands how this system works. Because once you do, you'll start seeing crises differently. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 things: where money actually goes during a crisis, what wealthy people are really doing in those moments, why this cycle repeats itself the same way every single time. I'm Henry. If you're ready, let's begin. Let's look at how the mechanism works. But first, imagine this scene with me. It's early 2009. We're in a meeting room on the top floor of a skyscraper in New York. Around the table sit calm-looking people staring at screens and making decisions. And they're buying. Buying what? The stocks of collapsed companies, crashed real estate portfolios, foreclosed homes. So who were these people? Managers of massive investment funds, private equity firms, and a handful of ultra-wealthy individuals from around the world. The crisis hadn't destroyed them. On the contrary, it had created opportunities for them because they were holding large amounts of cash. And they deployed that cash precisely when the market was at its cheapest. This is important to understand. When the stock market crashes, stocks don't disappear. Their prices fall, but they still exist. And whenever someone is selling, someone else is buying. Millions of people, driven by fear and desperation, were selling their stocks just to survive the moment. And those stocks were ending up in the hands of the people sitting in that meeting room. The crisis didn't destroy existing assets, it simply transferred ownership. Low-priced mass acquisitions continued quietly in the background for weeks, even months. Now, let's go even deeper. In 2008, governments intervened to stop the collapse. The Federal Reserve stepped in and injected hundreds of billions of dollars into the banking system to save it. But there's an important detail most people never notice. That money was given to major banks. And with that money, banks started issuing loans again. But to whom? To people who already had strong credit histories, collateral, and existing assets. In other words, people who lost their jobs, lost their savings, or had damaged credit during the crisis couldn't access those opportunities. The money pumped into the system was never distributed equally, and the system was never designed to work that way. So as that money started circulating through the markets, especially through cheap credit, something began happening. Asset prices started rising again, slowly at first, then rapidly. Stocks bought near the bottom in 2009 had doubled by 2012. By 2015, some had quadrupled. Homes bought for almost nothing during the crisis exceeded their pre-crisis values within just a few years. And who owned those assets now? The people who had cash during the crisis and were able to systematically buy while everyone else was panicking. And those people were already asset owners before the crisis even began. So they were wealthy before the collapse. They had liquidity during the collapse, and they emerged from the crisis even more powerful than before. Economists describe this with a concept called the wealth effect. But let me simplify it even more. Money always flows upward. And maybe the most uncomfortable truth I'll show you today is this. Money does not disappear during a crisis. It simply changes hands. The money that left your account went somewhere. The money lost during panic selling went somewhere. The hundreds of billions injected by central banks also ended up somewhere. And in the end, most of it flowed upward. And this wasn't just a story about 2008. We saw the exact same pattern during the pandemic. Small businesses shut down one by one. Restaurants, shops, studios, years of hard work vanished within months. The world froze. But at the exact same time, giant tech companies were breaking record after record. Online shopping exploded, logistics giants expanded rapidly, and global billionaire wealth increased by $5 trillion in the first year of the pandemic alone. $5 trillion in a single year. Different crisis, same system, same result. And this is important to understand. This is not a conspiracy theory. Nobody is sitting in a secret room planning all of this. It's simply the logic built into the mechanism itself. During crises, asset prices collapse. Those with liquidity buy. Central banks feed the markets. Prices recover. Asset owners become even wealthier. And the cycle begins again. Now I'm going to tell you the most important point of this video. Crises do not only create economic destruction. Crises are also wealth transfers. Think carefully about the word transfer. It means movement from one place to another. Nothing disappears. Ownership simply changes hands. And the moments of maximum panic are when these transfers happen the fastest. Most people thought everything is over back then. And for millions who lost everything, many things truly were over. But from the perspective of people who understood the system from inside the system, nothing had ended. Ownership had simply changed. And this is exactly where understanding the mechanism puts you in a different position. When the next crisis comes, and it will come, because it always has, instead of panicking, you may start asking yourself, where am I in this transfer? Maybe you'll begin taking small steps toward becoming an asset owner yourself. Maybe you'll at least avoid panic selling. Maybe the way you read the system will completely change. That may sound like a small shift, but it's something most people never achieve. And if you've watched this far, you're probably wondering something else too. Where does all this money actually come from? Is the central bank really printing money? How does that process work? I explained that in previous videos. If you want to understand the bigger picture from a distance, go watch the other episodes. I'm Henry, and I'll continue exposing the realities of capitalism here. See you in the next video.